So thank you everybody for joining and taking time out of your morning. We have some exciting stuff. So get ready. So AI will transform memberships, CRM, and website projects. You probably heard a lot about this already. And this is quite a well-timed webinar because we're really on the verge right now of the latest and greatest of Microsoft releasing all of its AI products for you to use for your membership purposes. So with that, let me just introduce you to our hosts today. So I'm Leisha Foley. I am a Dynamics consultant here at SmartPath. I am joined by Jeremy Jaley, who is our business development lead, and also Alan Reed, who is our independent nonprofit expert. Okay, so just a few housekeeping rules before we get into it. So this session will be recorded, and then it will be available for you if you want to share it with colleagues or want to rewatch and that. And then the chat box will also be available for you if you have any content-related questions throughout, and some of us will try to reply to you as the webinar is going on. And you can send in your questions at any time. And for the moment to end, there will be a Q&A session where you can pose any questions, and we'll ask them giving time allows for that. Okay, so what is on today's agenda? So first of all, the basics. So we'll be talking about what is AI in relation to membership associations. Then we'll be moving into how membership projects change with AI. And then in the middle, we will have an interview with an early AI adopter who is Adam Richardson from the Fire Industry Association, and he can talk to us about his experiences and how he is making the most of AI in his organization. Then we'll be giving you some practical advice on AI for membership bodies, and then we'll be finishing with the Q&A at the end. So with that, I will now hand you over to Alan Reed and to talk to us about the basics of AI.
Great. Thanks so much, Leisha. So good morning, everybody. My name's Alan Reed. I'm an independent consultant with the membership space and with the charity space. What I'm really keen to talk about is what's changing in terms of AI, and the reality is that we're on the cusp of huge things changing. It's going to be like the move to the cloud 10 years ago, the move to mobile devices 10 years before that. This is going to be all encompassing around how we deliver websites, how we deliver content, how we deliver our value to our members. So let's start with the basics. What is AI? What does it mean? Because I know a lot of people will be playing catch up, and that's one of the benefits of this webinar. So if you are playing catch up, let's go back to the beginning of time in terms of AI and membership. So here we are now, October 2023, and where the relevant background goes is way back. Literally to a year ago. This has all happened incredibly fast. So if you're not completely up to speed with everything, do not worry. Everything's been happening incredibly fast. And what happened about a year ago is that essentially this thing called ChatGPT exploded onto the scene. And there aren't many times when you can say this, but honestly, when I first started playing with this thing, I thought I wasn't expecting anything like this for at least another 20 years. You know, this is kind of the stuff of sci-fi, that essentially what you could do, over 180 million people signed up kind of immediately over the first few months, but you could do these amazing things. I can remember showing it to relatives, saying, look, I can ask it to write me a story about a day trip to Paris with a cat and a rabbit, and there's a joke at the end, and it writes this story in 5 seconds flat. I can ask it to create a tenancy agreement. I can ask it to write me an ad for a new membership manager. I can ask it to create a posting about membership engagement and what members really value. And it would write these things in seconds, and it would be about kind of 80% of how good a human being would do it, and it was just so easy to do. So and then you get into kind of ridiculous things. I've got this thing that I can just ask any question of. So is there a God? Who shot JFK? Was the moon landing faked? What color is a kilo? And it always gave sensible answers, even to the most ridiculous questions. So that all happened really recently. And what happened after that is that Microsoft obviously saw the writing on the wall and thought this is, going to be the biggest thing since the iPhone or what have you. And they invested this vast sum of money into the ChatGPT engine. It's still the largest, it's only a year. It's the largest software investment ever made, just unimaginable amounts of money. And what they've done with that is they made it initially free. It's still free as part of their browser, MS Edge. So anyone who's on Windows 11, which is also free, you'll see that within Edge on the right-hand side, there's a new browser bar and there's a Bing icon, and that just pops up, and you can ask any questions and ask it to create any content. We'll show you a bit of that. And as you're doing things, it's also showing you a reflection of the website you're visiting, or you might need to know more about this. And they've done it really well. It's not the kind of talking paperclip. So that was made available for free as part of Edge and Windows 11. And then at the same time, Microsoft announced they will be building AI into everything. So the engine, which is really the ChatGPT engine at the beginning, is being rebadged as Copilot, and it's being built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of the tools that we're using all of the time. Essentially, what they've done with that is Microsoft has stolen this really huge march on everyone else. They're going to be out in front on AI for the next year or two, with other people playing catch up. So what it's essentially means is that the AI tools are going to become very familiar to everyone on this call. They're going to be part of the working tools that you're using every day. And then we need to look at, all right, well, that's great for us and personal productivity, but let's look at how it's going to change what is coming into membership, how we can better serve our members, better compete with our competitors, and better make sure that we are securing our revenue and growing our base using these new tools that are available. So a quick kind of guide of some of the new tools that are already available, and some people are already using them. First of all, with Copilot, as I've mentioned, from November, and with Smart Impact and as part of the early adopter program, we can see this already. With Word, as you're writing a document, you can ask it to write the thing for you. You can ask it to create content. You can ask it to review content. You can ask it to summarize content, and of course to say, oh, can you put this in a less formal format? Can you please translate this bit into French? It's just amazing. It's just this tool that you have to be able to aid your content creation. In Excel, one of the great things that's already there is that for early adopters and coming to everyone from November onwards, is it really helps with some of the stuff that most of us struggle with. Turn this into a pivot table. Tell me what's any anomalies in this data set here. Turn this, and you'll be able to do all of these things using natural language requests. This whole thing of natural language requests, as opposed to formulas and really complex ways of doing things, is going to be really what enables people to take control of these things. In PowerPoint, same thing again. If you spend a lot of time in PowerPoint, marvelous, you're great at doing animations, you're great at, zooming around a slide deck and creating all sorts of fabulous content. But if you're less good, you can use the natural language instructions to say, create me an image for this, create some content for that, summarize this document into a slide deck, and it will lay out, 8 or 10 slides, whatever you ask for, as your baseline for you then to improve. Outlook, this is going to be one of the main areas where Copilot is going to make a difference to people. So, we all spend far too much of our time every day in Outlook. It will help you understand every element of a conversation you're having with someone, fully integrated into Microsoft Dynamics. So if you're writing to one of your members in your CRM, it'll tell you everything you know about them. You can ask it to suggest responses and content. You can ask it to suggest everything you've ever written, to summarize everything you've ever communicated to about this person, and put it as an action plan. All of these things will be built into how we're working. Power Platform, more of a developer thing, and Business Chat, which is essentially everything to do with how you manage and communicate with each other. So for most of us, what we'll see is that AI will be built into Teams. If you're joining a meeting late, it'll say, oh, well, here's what's already been talked about. At the end of the meeting, Copilot will automatically, if you ask it to, create the actions that were agreed during the meeting. And it's doing that using a lot of things that are already there. Teams can already create a transcription for a meeting. It could do that automatically, as we might have seen before. So with the AI add-on for that, it's understanding the transcription, understanding what is a task for someone to do, or a decision that needs to be made in the future, and it's then monitoring that like an administrator, and then putting it as a plan assigned to people, and so on. So all of this will hopefully make us a lot more effective, a lot more personally productive. If you're one of the people with last-minute-itis, as most of us do, you'll appear to be a lot more prepared, because you'll have information at your fingertips to a much higher degree without you having to collate it yourself. So as well as the Copilot in Microsoft Office toolset, there are also other things that a lot of us are starting to use on a day-to-day basis, and I think more of you will. Some of them are charged, some of them are free. So DALL-E is a tool that creates images based on written descriptions. So you can say, I want an image of this kind of thing. Now, a lot of us who do presentations or documents can spend an awful lot of time scouring for the right image in image banks and so on. Asking it to create an image based on your verbal requirements can really save a huge amount of time. Bing Chat, I've mentioned, is where you can ask it to answer questions. You can ask it to create documents for you. You can ask it, tell me everything you know about a thing. So if you're being asked to write a document or a report, or to write an e-shot, or to write some content for your members, a very frequent starting point is going to be Bing Chat. Or ChatGPT, or being built into Word as well, where you'll ask it to do it for you as a baseline. Midjourney is the most amazing tool that allows you also to create images, a lot like DALL-E, but it does it, with different flavors and a different way of communicating with it. We'll show you that a little bit today, just a bit of fun. And then Amazon Rekognition is this amazing thing that also the Google app is very similar. It's just called the Google app now, not Google Maps or Google Translate, just Google app, and where you can take a photograph of anything or just expose your photo bank to it, and it will recognize connections between them, recognize other things in the real world. You can photograph any item and it'll tell you everything about it, where you can buy it, the background to it, the history of it, who created it. It's just, and it happens, you try and break it, you try and take photographs of things that it will never recognize, and it always recognizes them. It's just amazing. Bard is a tool for creating stories, and having content that is a little bit more in depth or lighthearted. It's very good at technical material as well. So all of this is now becoming available to people, a lot of it for free, so that you can then be more personally creative and productive, and have more time for things that only a human being can do. So I thought, just to summarize some of the stuff that's going on in Copilot, let's just watch a quick video of it. It's only it's slightly less than 2 minutes. Just what this is showing is how you would use Microsoft Office with Copilot to be more personally productive, to save yourself time, and so that you're not having to do all of the the admin, and to, oh, what have I forgotten, and what do I need for this meeting? It's kind of your assistant doing all of that for you, so that it's then you can focus on human activities. So let's just have a quick look at this. So, and I can't overemphasize, this is happening now. So this will become available on people's desktops. Microsoft are charging extra for the Copilot add-on for some organizations, but it's going to become a standard as part of people working. But also, it'll become a standard when you're creating images, when you're creating content and stories. So, all right, that's marvelous. Where is, and it's hard to kind of catch up with how fast it's all happening, but where does this fit into membership projects? And we think it's going to fit everywhere. So let's just go through that pretty quick. So just to summarize, really, in a few seconds, this is what projects used to look like up until a few years ago. Essentially, everybody has their website, everybody has their back office tools, and things were done very separately. If you were lucky, you had a single CRM that could do all of those things in the middle, but then there would be a relatively not terribly well connected website, and you probably use a separate tool for marketing and communications, which meant your data was inevitably split around all over the place, and that just is pretty disempowering. Now, that was way back then, and as a standard now, all of the projects that I'm involved in, all of the projects that Smart Impact do, really for the last 5 or 6 years, pre-AI, all projects now all have a fully integrated website and back office. You can't really talk about your CRM without talking about your website, because the two are so closely linked now. And you can't just talk about a project now in terms of, all right, we need to allow people to pay online and book on an event, if you're not talking about the marketing and the communications and the personalization and the scoring and who are our at-risk members and so on as part of your main project, then you're losing opportunities. So that's been really clear for the last few years. So where is AI going to affect all of that? So as I say, I have been working on projects that include that whole encompassing personalization for years now. That's been the goal, making members feel valued and so on. So the reality is that all of those things, of course, are still important, more important than ever, as member expectations are going to increase ever higher. But AI will make them more accessible for membership organizations. You won't have to spend the vast budgets that you might have thought were necessary before, because AI is making it more achievable. So when it comes to things like websites, websites will become more personalized. So there's been the challenge in the last 5 or 6 years to make them, personalized a bit, so everyone gets a different landing page and so on. It knows what you're interested in, but it's more personalized. So AI, as part of your website, and when someone's identified themselves on your website, will understand everything about them that can be traced, what articles they've read, of the content you've sent out, what events they've attended, training they've attended, any of their interactions that can be detected as part of your data. And then it uses that data to serve the member better. So putting up personalized content, articles for them, making suggestions to them. So personal guidance on things like CPD. When they come to the website, it'll say, oh, here you are on your CPD journey. Here's the next thing I suggest you do based on all of that. Here are the events that are most relevant and interesting to you. Here are some really great content that we've created. I think you read that thing last month, and here is something that is a follow-on to that. I think you'll really benefit from. One of the huge things is this natural language searching. So one of the most common complaints members make is, I can't find anything on my member website. Well, if you can just type in, give me everything about compliance, or give me everything about that, then that problem goes away. So then other things that will change is content and outbound comms to people, again using AI to deliver something that's genuinely personalized, relevant, and targeted to ever smaller groups. So it'll take the legwork out of producing personalized content, multiple versions of content, so that it's always relevant to different people, and they all think that you understand them. They all feel like they're targeted. And then you'll get better take up. So people are actually responding to stuff in a much higher degree, and your members are feeling like they're getting value out of the money that they're spending with you. Likewise, scoring and analytics. Most membership bodies don't do near enough of this, as we all know. So this makes it easy. So to say, who are my at-risk members? Who are my main supporters that I should do more with? Who's coming up for renewal and hasn't done anything with us in the last 3 months? So I need to go and do stuff. So insight is power. So making it easier to understand where the problems are, and then to take action to respond to those problems. And then, of course, spending less money on stuff that is not working. Put your time into stuff that is working, and be a more effective membership organization as a result, plugging the leaky bucket. So what we then have, of course, is things like automated bots for enrollment inquiries. This will become a standard as part of websites in a very cost-effective way. So essentially allowing people to raise queries and self-serve to a much higher degree. And what's really changed is that you can train these AI bots about your website incredibly quickly and easily. You can just show it to show the bot your website. It'll then do a trawl, understand everything about your content, train itself on your data, and then is ready then to answer questions in a natural language way. So really bringing your content and making it easy to deliver to your members, and making it much more easy for you to showcase your value. Okay, so all of these aspects are going to be significantly affected and improved and enabled by AI. But what I thought is let's just see some of it in action. So if I'm just going to hand over to Jeremy now, and then Jeremy will just take us through some stuff.
Thank you very much, Alan. Is my screen coming through? Better just check that.
Yes, your screen is coming through. Great.
Fantastic. How exciting that I've landed in Outlook, right, and looking at an email here, where so many of us spend most of our days at the moment. So look, as Alan said, it's a very, very exciting time to be working in this space at the moment, partly because Microsoft are just on the verge of releasing a huge swathe of functionality around AI that is probably going to transform all of our day-to-day lives in the same kind of way that email did 30 years ago or so. And it's very exciting as well to be a part of an organization like Smart Impact, working sort of beneath the bonnet a little bit on this, because at the same time as developing end user tools, Microsoft are also creating a lot of very, very clever and shiny Azure OpenAI services that developers like us can use to build our own AI tools for our customers that go, much further in terms of personalization for specific organizations' AI needs. I'm focusing very much on the end user domain today, and I'm going to show you how Copilot in Microsoft Outlook and Dynamics 365 makes it easier for you to manage membership sales and manage relationships with your stakeholders. And then I also thought I'd just have a quick look at Bing Chat and explain how Microsoft are developing that tool to enable more personalized development of content, and what their plans are in terms of bringing all of your information, your documents, your emails, your Teams messages together to do that. So look, I'm in Outlook and I'm looking at an email from a prospect of mine called Dwayne Elijah. Dwayne works for a company called AI Associated Industries, who are a prospect of mine, and I'm trying to convince Dwayne that he should join our association as a corporate member. And I can use Sales Copilot directly within this tool to support this. Now, if you're familiar with how the Dynamics 365 app in Outlook worked in terms of connecting emails to data in CRM, this might look familiar, because moving forward, you're probably not going to use the Outlook plugin anymore. You'll actually use this Sales Copilot tool. And what it does immediately is connect this email to me from Elijah to an opportunity that I have in my Dynamics CRM. This opportunity for me selling my corporate membership. It's also immediately giving me the opportunity to collaborate with other members of my team around this sale, the corporate membership for associations, but also another opportunity that we have in D365 for Dwayne. If I click on the Dynamics 365 tab, I can immediately see a whole load of information that's really helpful to me when progressing my engagement with Dwayne. So I can see the actual opportunity that it's connected to, with all of the key details about that opportunity, the fact that it's a corporate membership, the amount that I'm trying to sell it for, the close date that I'm aiming for, etc. I can see Dwayne's contact details, and you can see that I can see his phone number, email address, and who he is and where he works, but also a little private note to myself, which helps me to engage better with him as I progress my my opportunity and interact with him on a day-to-day basis. I can also see all the opportunities that I have for his business, and if I want to click on another opportunity, I can see that I'm trying to sell some best practice reports to a colleague of his, so I've got that at my fingertips, and if I want to, I can go and have a look at the organization as well. But where this really starts becoming clever is that Copilot can help me to respond to this communication quickly and easily, really at the click of a mouse. So Dwayne's written to me, he's thanked me for a recommendation around something out with the sale that I made to him, and then he suggested, why don't we meet up later this week for a chat? So I can hit reply to an inquiry, and Copilot will draft a response to this email for me without me having to undertake a single keystroke. So now I've got on the right hand side, thanks for taking the time to reach out and for your kind words about my recommendation. So it's contextualizing this email to the message that Dwayne sent me, and then it's saying, fantastic, why don't we meet up next Friday at 11 a.m. I've also got the ability down here to adjust this response to Dwayne, so I can make it a more formal email. Actually, I know this chap pretty well, and we're fairly close, so I'm actually going to just change the tone of this message to a more friendly message, which is exactly what Copilot has done over here. I can now hit this copy content button. I can go over here and hit reply, and my message is ready to send back to him immediately, as I say, without me having to do a single keystroke. The other nice thing about this is that, you know, typically responding to this kind of email is something you're doing regularly throughout the day. Each message might take 3 to 5 minutes to draft. This has done it immediately. It's just saving me a lot of time with my standard communications with my prospects. Let's go into Dynamics 365 and have a look at this through the lens of someone working in CRM. And actually, the functionality here is very, very similar, because what Microsoft is trying to do is make it possible for you to work in your system of choice. So if you spend most of your time working in Outlook on email, then that probably is the place that you're going to need access to that Copilot tool. But if you actually spend most of your time in a CRM system, then access to exactly the same information here makes a lot of sense. So you can see on the right hand side, I'm in the Copilot for Dynamics 365 interface here. I immediately get a summary of the opportunity that I am working on. And this gives me some really useful information to tailor how I respond to this inquiry from Dwayne. So it tells me about the business. It tells me how much they've spent with us in the past. And I can see that their most recent purchase was for 6 industry best practice training courses. And I can actually click on that link here to take me directly through to that sale if I want to find out more information about how we progress that. It also then explains that why I'm selling this corporate membership to Dwayne is that I can make his costs with us much more cost effective, that it would be best suited to their needs as it will provide them with access to discounts and member only services. And then it's giving me summary information about what it is I'm specifically trying to sell. There are other things that the Dynamics 365 sales app does, utilizing AI in the background to make my job as a seller easy. It gives me an opportunity score, which is summary information about the relationship and how I'm doing in terms of progressing this deal. And it also gives me an up next sequence, which is a quick and easy way to progress the opportunity. If I hit email here, this will start the process of drafting an email within Dynamics 365. So again, talking to that notion of being able to work in the system that you want to work in. And you can see that Copilot exists here as well. So I might say that I want to, can you send me more information? Draft an email to Dwayne on that basis. And again, Copilot is able to put together that draft, make it quick and easy for me to get the message that I need to Dwayne to gather more information ahead of our meeting, hopefully on Friday. So that's the Copilot tool using generative AI in Outlook and Dynamics 365. Just wanted to very quickly talk about Bing Chat Enterprise. And Alan's explained that Microsoft has already invested a huge amount of money in OpenAI, who are the people that created ChatGPT. And one of the reasons that they've done that is so that they can start building that generative AI capability into their applications. And one of the first ones they did was Bing. Bing, I'm sure you know, is like the Google of Microsoft. So obviously they have several motions in place to try and get people to use Bing. And actually, this change, bringing this generative AI, has really changed how I use it. I was always using Google in the past. Now I use Bing almost every day because it just makes it so much easier to get the kind of content that I want. Microsoft is very much on a journey with this, and what they're aiming to do is enable organizations to access from Bing Chat Enterprise, which is their enterprise offering, not only data from the web and data from your own website and information from your own website that you can use to tailor generated responses, but also to enable you to access data in your SharePoint, your Microsoft Teams, your email messages in Outlook, and all the data that you hold in as your tenant or your Microsoft domain about your business. And the plan with that, of course, is that then you'll be able to use generative AI not just to create content, but also to make that content based on the information that you have in your business. It's really important to point out that as Microsoft go on this journey, they're also thinking very, very hard about trust and security and making sure that whenever you use your company or personal data to inform generative AI, that remains private to you. Now, this is really only a pointer in the direction of where this is going. As Alan said, in November, Microsoft are launching a whole load of Copilot tools that are going to step this forward significantly. But I thought I'd just show you a quick example of summarizing a PDF. So this is a 92-page Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport document, which is the UK's digital strategy. And I first came into Bing Chat Enterprise and I said, look, can you give me a summary of this 92-page document? And very, very quickly, it provided me with a close to 300-word summary of what the document is about, and why it's worth reading. It also up here mentions 7 pillars to the strategy. And I thought that's quite interesting. Can you put those 7 pillars into 7 bullets for me? And Bing Enterprise did that. It took the content, it highlighted actually, which is really nice, each of the bullets, each of those pillars into bold, and then gave me a quick and easy description of what each of those pillars is. I then said, well, okay, write me a paragraph explaining why those pillars are relevant to Smart Impact. So it's something that I might be able to use in my in my marketing literature. And it did that. So using the content that it had generated by summarizing that PDF, it created me, again, a 300 or so word paragraph that just contextualized the UK digital strategy to Smart Impact. Now, this is a Copilot tool. It's there to provide a starting point. I'll probably want to refine this. For instance, there's this notion here about using broadband to engage and deliver interactive online experiences. Probably not the most relevant to specifically what we do as a business, but I can change that. But it gives me a massive head start on generating content that's relevant to what I am putting together. And it's not going to be long now, it can start using all the information in my SharePoint as well. This is going to be a transformative tool for doing things like responding to tenders, putting together marketing materials, creating content for blogs and emails and communications with our stakeholders. And I think it's absolutely the same for our clients. Thanks, Alan.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. So I'm going to share my whole screen, which is always a bit dangerous, but I want to jump around some different tools. So I'm going to do that. So I'm just for a minute or two, because I want to get to the interview with Adam really fast. This is Midjourney, and it's one of the tools, the one I like the best at the moment, for creating images based on your textual inputs. And if we had a bit more time, and maybe we'll do it on a future webinar, what you can do is you just say, imagine something. And then I could get prompts from the audience. I'll do that in the future. But you can just make stuff up. So chimpanzees in Elizabethan costumes playing chess. And then basically, it basically goes, oh, right, you want a picture of that for some bizarre reason of your own making. I'm not going to judge. I'll just create the images. So it then we'll start creating the images. It typically takes around 15 or 20 seconds. And essentially, the more you give it, the more you get from it. So you can say, all right, I want it to be brightly lit. I want it to be this dimensions. I want them all, wearing top hats. I want them all playing with iPhones. So you can just give it this series of instructions, and then you get your image. And so what you do, because I'm doing this really, really fast, is you say, oh, I like number 3 the best. So upscale number 3. Give me a better version of that. And then there you go. And you can ask for different things around it. You can ask for it to be in photograph mode. So it looks like a photograph or you can ask for it in cartoon mode, and etc. This is just a really, really fast example of this. But you go down rabbit holes with this stuff, and you can create all sorts of amazing content. Up here, I asked for a bunch of scientists wearing top hats and looking angry. Here, I asked for people in Lion Witch and the Wardrobe costumes in Leicester Square. There's just a whole bunch of silly stuff that you can ask. This is Triffids and aliens playing chess, etc. So it's something that's going to become, part of Copilot. DALL-E is the Copilot version of it, and it's something we're all going to be using an awful lot. So I'll leave that there before I show any more of my really silly images. So Adam, I'd like to welcome you to the webinar. I wonder if I could start by just asking you if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what the Fire Industry Association does for a living and what you do for your members, please. Let's start with that, if that's okay.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for having me. And those two things were seriously way more interesting than what I'm going to say, especially the chimpanzees playing chess. Nonetheless, I work for the Fire Industry Association, or the FIA, as you may have heard it. And we are the largest fire safety trade association in Europe, representing over 1,000 members, which are all businesses, from billion-pound companies to small SMEs, on the topic of, you guessed it, fire safety. In addition to that, we're also the industry's largest training provider, training individuals or professionals in the fire industry, giving them qualifications. We do about 4,000 professionals a year. My role at the FIA, I'm the general manager. I've been here for 4 years. I manage a team of 25, and I work on organisation improvements and large projects. For instance, I'm working with Smart Impact on automating our CRM and combining a few things, which is really good. Just before I get into what I'm about to say, I think this is an important caveat. I am by no means an AI expert or anything close to that. The way that I stumbled across this, I saw it on Twitter, which is now called X, and played around with it. And I just follow a few newsletters and try and keep abreast of what's going on. So webinars like this are really, really useful to get involved in. So thank you.
But fantastic. And that's a really good segue, actually. So here you are. You're responsible for a membership organization and making sure that you satisfy your members and grow your membership. Of course, you're responsible for managing a whole bunch of staff as well. So can you talk to us a little bit about what you did with AI and what kind of problems were you trying to solve? What was your starting point and why did you do it, please?
Interesting. So we, as an organization, didn't think of a problem and then found that the solution was AI. We discovered how it can be used and then started applying it to problems. So it's kind of the reverse way of doing things. And some of the things that we've used AI for, and this is either just assisting us in doing things by summarizing, improving, or refining, or it could just be fully delivering the thing, and then we do the summarizing, refining, and defining and proofreading. So on a basic level, we use something called ChatGPT, which is a large language model. I don't know too much about how it works and all of that good stuff. So I'd recommend asking ChatGPT how it works.
Sure.
And we use that for creating email campaigns, social media posts, rewording news stories, so current live events that's going on in the fire industry, analyzing some data that is not private or confidential and we're happy for it to have access to. And then there's another type of AI we use. We actually don't use Teams, we use Zoom. And that's got a similar functionality called Zoom AI Companion, which will summarize your meetings. You can ask it questions, it can write the minutes. And then from that, you can give the minutes and the actions back into ChatGPT and say, how do we best go about that? Give us some ideas for where we could start with. And that's why I was really excited about what I believe Jamie was saying with the Copilot, with the fact that that's going to be, you'll have that functionality, but with all of your data and linked to all of your systems. And that's, I think, well, hopefully we'll get to at the end of this discussion, where this will be going. And that is just going to be unbelievably helpful for a variety of reasons.
And can I ask you, so great, that makes an awful lot of sense. What has that done for your content production at Fire Industry Association? So you're also creating content before. How does the world look different now?
Okay, so I've also got another example with an event and how it helps you run events, which we can touch on afterwards if that's okay. But on content production, what it's allowed us to do, our marketing team have got set goals of delivering X news story in Y time, and they've got to do about 5 to 10 a week. We've got a pretty big LinkedIn platform of over 42,000 followers, and then a lot of this content is reused in newsletters. So what I did is I asked the marketing team, or what we did, sorry, we as a team saw how AI could help us. And what we can do is you can get articles from online if you've got the right license, run that through ChatGPT. But what does that mean? So you can see an article from The Guardian, let's say, and you could say, please can you paraphrase this? But I would like you to know that we're the Fire Industry Association. This is our targets or our goals. Here's who we're talking to, and here's how we want to sound. And what it will do in this space is, as you saw, with creating those chess-playing chimpanzees, in
Yes.
about 10 seconds, it will completely flip the article on its head, put it in your voice, and allow that news story to go to your members or professionals you're trying to talk to as if it's just come from you, which is a great way for membership organizations to stay abreast of what's going on in the industry, but also convey to their members that they're on top of things and give a slant to it.
Absolutely.
But that all sounds very good. But what does that mean? So we've actually done some analysis on this to see whether it's better or not. Just because it's
Yes.
making us do things faster, does that translate to it being better? So what we did is we compared 1 month with ChatGPT, the month before we used it, and 1 month afterwards, just to see what differences there were. Obviously, there's a variety of factors that you need to take in, and it wasn't just this one singular thing of AI that would have led to these numbers. But I would guess that it played a big role in it. So what are those numbers? So our net audience growth, which means how many new users did we get onto our platforms as followers over that period, increased by 62.3%. Our impressions grew from the first period without to the period with by 42.5%.
Wow, those are amazing numbers.
Yeah, and even on the engagement side of things, the total number of engagements increased by 100%, 102.2%, and the engagement rate per impression went up to 4.9%, which is quite good, I think, which was an increase of 42% again.
And I'm still blown away by your 40,000 plus LinkedIn followers. So that obviously makes a huge difference there. That isn't really impressive. Could we please cover your comment about events? Because everyone on this webinar, pretty much their organization does events. You know, you kind of have to in the membership and charity world. So how has it changed the way you approach events?
Brilliant. So with events, I just got back from Cyprus at the end of last week. Where we delivered a exhibition with 16 companies, a mix of UK and Cypriot, and also a conference which had 4 panel discussions, 3 presentations. Sounds like quite a bit of work, and it was, especially given the fact we had 2 months to do it from scratch, but also that we had a new office launch, an annual general meeting, trying to hire 2 staff across the team. It was a really, really busy period. Which I hope emphasizes how useful AI can be. So how we used ChatGPT for that was through creating the website content. We had 2 websites that we needed to update with this information, ours, and then an event-specific one. And it did all of that incredibly well, making sure that the language was catered for the audiences, that it was SEO optimized, because you can ask it this stuff. SEO optimized language, but also we wanted it to be informative, persuasive. We gave it our brand guidelines and said, this is how we sound. Please make sure that everything that you do sounds like it's from us. Another important thing is try and add in a caveat if you can to make it sound more human-like. Sometimes it can go a bit too over the top and a bit too hyperbolic. And for us, compared to our brand guidelines, it comes across as a bit cringy, let's say. Just a personal opinion. So
no, I think that's really important. You know, it's not all good. You have to really manage it closely, is what I'm hearing.
Massively. So that's on the website side of things. We also created tailored campaigns. So then after creating all of that content about the website, we said, okay, here's this information. We need you to target this for an email campaign to these verticals, to the construction industry, the insurance industry, the educational industry, the fire safety industry, and then there was about 7 verticals under the fire industry, from detection to extinguishing to engineering. And it did all of that fantastically. And this wasn't just a singular email campaign. These were multi-staged email campaigns, which it set the cadence itself. It said send this one on this date, this one on that date, and then the final one a few days before. And I know I'm rambling, so I'll keep it short.
No, but this is really relevant stuff. Sorry, please, could you, I've got a couple more questions. So yes, please.
Okay, so just to finish off the event side, it also did the accompanying social media post and could do tailored invitation letters. So we used AI to improve and shorten the time that it took our limited team to acquire delegates and acquire strategic partners or panelists and speakers.
That's amazing, and things that, of course, you would expect only a human being to be able to do. So, Adam, there's some questions that have come for you in the chat that are targeted to you. So, can I just ask you to stay on the panel, and we'll ask those in the Q&A session as well? Is that all right? So, great. Thanks so much for that, Adam. That's brilliant insight, and we really want to hear how people can bring that to life in their own organizations. So, please stay for the panel. So from here, I'm just going to hand back to Leisha, please, to give some advice to organizations who are thinking about what they can do with AI. Thanks a lot, Leisha.
That's great. Thank you, Alan. I hope you can hear me better now. I understand
yes.
There was some issues before. So we just want to sum up by giving you some quick advice about if you're placing your systems or trying to get the best out of what you have, and how you can get the most out of AI in either situation. So first of all, for people who are changing systems, these are some things to look out for. So first of all, as you're probably aware from the media and everything, Microsoft is completely ahead of the game in this sector. So they're definitely a best choice at the moment anyway. A lot of AI-driven features will become standard expectations. So your members are going to be expecting more from you as AI is developing, and for you to keep up with it as well. So, don't buy a VHS player in the age of streaming. So don't buy something that's completely outdated when we've all moved on from it. Okay, thirdly, so make sure your supplies product is built on AI-friendly technology as well, because you don't want to be almost at the end of your implementation and realizing that it's not actually compatible with AI, so you can't get all of the AI benefits from it. So it's important that AI is kind of part of the strategy from the very beginning in terms of choosing your supplier. And you need to cover everything as part of the project specialist membership CRM, integrated membership, driven websites, marketing, communications, and analytics. So AI can dabble into all of those. And look for evidence that your supplier is committed to membership. So you might see that some suppliers try to cover all, and then you can really kind of find out the ones that are actually committed to and specialize in membership itself, and they're just much stronger because they're always going to be developing membership capabilities, and members are going to be at the center of your planning as well. And finally, make sure they're fully committed to delivering the benefits of AI as part of their solution. So you might find that, they're talking about it a lot, but if they're not actually centering around it, and they're not at the forefront of AI. And so that's obviously important to uncover from the beginning as well when speaking to potential suppliers. Okay, and for those of you who are not changing system and you're on an older or a non-Microsoft system, we also have some advice for you as well. So AI is unlikely that it will be built into your systems, but you can still take advantage of it by working with your current systems in some ways. So AI will accelerate the replacement process of older systems if that's something you're looking to do, and that happened when we moved from on-premise to on cloud about 5 years ago. Okay, and then take lessons from Adam from the FIA. So what he's doing, he's embracing AI content for content creation, increasing volume content, and saving staff time. So AI, it can be used in all areas really. And fourthly and lastly, make the use of Microsoft Office with Copilot for your personal productivity in terms of writing your emails. You can use it on Teams, Excel, Word, and so on in terms of drafting emails, creating content, and things like that as well. So if you're sticking with your current systems, it doesn't mean that you get left behind. There are still places where you can apply the use of AI. Okay. Okay, so now let's move on to the audience Q&A. Sorry, Alan.
No. Sorry, I jumped in. So great, thanks a lot, Leisha. So we've had some questions popping in already, and Adam, you're the most interesting person actually. So that's no surprises there. As someone who's really doing the biz at a membership organisation. So first of all, a question that's come through from Rory Carlton. How much information do you have to feed the ChatGPT, the AI, in terms of your branding guidelines and house style in order to get what you want out of it? And then there's a follow-up on how do you approach data security and confidentiality and privacy concerns with all of that, please? Adam, you're on mute. I can see on your screen.
It's only been 3 years and I still do it. So embarrassing.
Everyone does it. Everyone. Go on.
Sorry, on the question of how much data we input to ChatGPT, you can answer that. The short answer is the more data you give it, the better chance it has of delivering what you want. So for instance, with the event example that I gave you when we're targeting the different verticals, you could have simply just said, yeah, please target the construction industry, the academic industry, and the insurance industry. But instead, if you know the stakeholders of the particular types of company you want, you can go onto their website and access publicly available information about what they do, who they are, what their goals are, and paste that in under each section so that the thing that you're asking the AI to deliver is specifically targeted to what they're into and what they're trying to achieve. Because at this point, I'd hope it already knows what your goals are, lots about your association, why you're doing this, what you really want to gain from it. The more you tell it, I think the better chance it gives you of creating the document you're after or the result you're after.
Fantastic. And I know we're going to overrun by a minute or two, but I can't resist another question for you, Adam, because it's come up in the chat as well. What were the responses to staff? Were they anxious? Do they all think they're going to get fired? How did you tackle that? Because I'm guessing the answer is some would have done. So how did you tackle that? If you don't mind, a fairly short answer around a big topic, please.
Okay, I'll try my best. So yeah, there was hesitancy above and hesitancy from staff that would be using this. So with regards to addressing the staff that were worried about their roles in the future, it was actually a really, really valid response to an emerging but also quite transformative technology. So you got to kind of ignore all of that and just say, I don't mind how you do things. I mind about what goals you have to achieve and whether they're being achieved or not. If you want to use a different tool to do that, and AI is just the tool that we use, as is the internet or Google or emails, I don't mind. So when you framed it in, it's just a tool for them to do better at. So it's easier for them to hit their goals and our organization to move the needle forward. It really did change their perception of risk. The next part of that process is training them up adequately so they know how to use it, they're doing it confidently, they're compliant with, to go back to that second question, data and security. We do not put any confidential or personal data or even data that we don't want to share with anyone but the walls of the office into AI because we don't know where it's going or what it's doing. So yeah, it's all about changing it so that it's a tool that they can use to do their job better at and help them. It also allows them to have more free time by automating the admin. They can focus on strategic projects. They can focus on the personal elements of their role. And most
that is a fantastic message. No, I think that's really fantastic. That I really like it's just a tool. I don't care how you do your job. and it's freeing you up from, for stuff that only you can do. I think that's really valuable insight. So let me just go to a couple of other questions. Thanks so much for that. One let me pose this one to you, Jeremy. There was a question about how do we tackle the cons of this? We've talked a lot about how wonderful all of this is, but we've got Sam Crown, who's asked, what are the cons, and how do we then manage those cons elements?
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, actually, there's quite a few questions in the chat that have come through regarding questions around privacy and security, and I think Sam has probably best articulated the question. He said the webinar's focused on the pros of AI. That was absolutely our intention, of course, in putting this together. But what are the cons and the risks? So just want to focus on a few things. I think there was also a question earlier around anxiety of staff using the system. So I think one of the big risks is people not using it correctly, right? This is a tool that provides you with the ability to get a head start on content creation, get better insights into your contacts, respond to emails quickly and easily. But they're designed to be co-pilot tools. They're designed to do some of the heavy lifting around the administrative or operational aspects of that activity. But the person who's using that content, the person who's sending the emails or signing off on what's generated, absolutely needs to remain responsible. So the first big con might be people not using the tools correctly, and of course for organizations the way around that is to provide insight training, show the benefits, but show people how to use those tools correctly. Around privacy and trust concerns, this is a nascent technology in many respects. It's a year old, Alan, you explained it. It's only been around really since October last year. And Microsoft is really at the forefront of adopting this technology and building it into its products. And so they are fielding everyday concerns from organizations around how their data is being used. Can we use this safely? Can we use it in a low risk way? Look, organizations need to think about this really, really carefully. Nobody can assuage an organization's responsibility to think about how they're using their information and data in a secure way. But by working with Microsoft tools, you're putting in yourself in absolutely the best position to do that safely, because Microsoft have a number of commitments and a detailed policy around responsible use of AI that they are adopting into the technology. And one of the big commitments from Microsoft is that they won't use any of your personal or corporate data to inform any of the content that they generate elsewhere. So they're putting strong firewalls around information to keep it safe and secure and yours.
I think that's a really important point. Yeah, sorry, Jeremy, just to finish.
The other big concern organizations have is around copyright and whether or not there are copyright concerns when AI tools are generating content for you, and that is based on publicly available information. Microsoft's also put an indemnity in place for any of its customers that will indemnify them against any copyright complaints brought against them, because they are very, very confident the way that they are using publicly accessible information is safe and secure. So Microsoft's also providing that indemnity, which is coming with this platform. And finally, I think the final con might be not keeping up. These tools are transformative, they're developing rapidly, they're available, a lot of them today, and if organizations are not using them to support their work, make their content more engaging, do more with their information, then they're probably missing a trick. So a con is the landscape might be getting a lot more competitive pretty quickly. You better keep up.
Absolutely. And thanks for that, Jeremy. And actually, there are so many questions coming through. We're already overrunning. I think another session where it's much more question-based and response-based from the panel, I think is in order. Just one final question that I'll take, and then we have to wrap. Leisha, could I fire this one towards you? Someone's asked, our supplier is not interested in doing anything with AI. Do I need to, and they're actually on Dynamics. Do I need to change supplier in order to do anything about that? What are your thoughts?
Well, I guess you could try and figure out how to do it yourself. However, it's not really the same as getting expert advice. So, you know, you kind of want a supplier is supposed to work with you. So if you want AI in an ideal word, they should be very supportive of that. So we would recommend maybe finding someone who can support you on your AI journey, unless you want to have an in-house specialist or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure if they want to get in contact after this call, after this session, you'd be happy to provide them some guidance on that. All right, that's the final question I've got. Leisha, could I just pass back to you just to wrap up, if you don't mind?
For sure. So we have a ChatGPT cheat sheet for you, and you can find it at this link. And I think Steve is going to post the link into the chat now, so you can click on that and find all of the information that you need there. And then also, as always, please join our next session. So they're usually at the same time on a Tuesday, once a month, and you can register on our website as well. Okay. So with that, thank you very much, and thank you to all of everybody who joined the webinar today.